What's up, Bills Mafia? We've got some news to get into here on today's show, but first things first, we've just got to take down the Jets Report new subscribers this week. They've got us covered. They've got us in total subs too, although they had about a month head start as we launched these two new channels to kick off 2025 here at Chat Sports. But we're gaining steam. Let's continue the momentum. If you want daily Bills content, we're at about 4 or 5 videos per week. The more subs we get, the more videos we could do. Hit that subscribe button, because when news drops like that did today, really last night, we got you covered. The Bills hired a special teams coordinator, plus a few days earlier, one that kind of slips through the cracks. Pretty interesting, different coach as well. We're going to talk about it all here on the Bills Breakdown. I'm Harrison Graham from Chat Sports. This is the Buffalo Bills Breakdown, and the Bills have already hired a new special teams coordinator. Remember, they were going to keep their special teams coordinator, then they decided to fire him, and within about a day or two, they have tabbed Chris Tabor as their new special teams coordinator, and I really like the hire. For those who don't know, I cover the Bears for Chat Sports, so I'm very familiar with Chris Tabor. He's a very good coach. He's been coaching in the NFL for a long time. He's been a special teams coordinator in this league for a very, very long time. And I like the roots that he comes from. You look at his NFL experience, his first 3 years as the Bears' assistant special teams coordinator. He worked under Dave Toub, who's now been with the Chiefs for a long time and is kind of renowned as the best special teams coordinator in the NFL, or at least one of them. Always has a trick up his sleeve. So that's kind of who he learned under. Then he was with the Browns for 7 seasons. And you think about the chaos of the Browns, right? He was able to survive multiple different head coaching staffs there. So that kind of shows you what he's all about. He was with the Bears for 4 years, including that 2018 season where they won 12 seasons. Then he went to Carolina when the Bears changed their coaching staff, and even was respected there to the point where he became their interim head coach in 2023 when Frank Reich got fired. Only went 1-5, but this is a well-respected, highly successful coach in the NFL. I think this is an instant upgrade. The Bills special teams units will be buttoned up this year. I can promise you that. I know it was kind of a chaotic year for that unit in Buffalo, but I think that will be cleaned up by Chris Tabor. He took 2024 off, did not coach, should be completely re-energized. And, I mean, you go from Carolina a year off to Buffalo, potentially a chance to win a Super Bowl if you're Chris Tabor. Pretty exciting opportunity, and I think an excellent hire by Sean McDermott. So we'll see if they have any wrinkles in terms of special teams additions. A guy like Cordero Patterson is a free agent, someone he's worked with before as a kick returner. So we'll keep an eye on that. But regardless, I expect a better unit on special teams this year than the Bills had last year. Grade the hire of Chris Tabor, A, B, C, D, or F. Let us know down in the comments section below how you feel about this coaching addition for Buffalo. Okay, Bruce Feldman, this one actually slipped through the cracks for us here, had the note that the Bills are hiring former Jags and Falcons defensive coordinator and longtime D-line coach Ryan Nielsen as a senior defensive assistant. He mentions that he spent 6 seasons with the Saints as a defensive line coach and ultimately co-defensive coordinator. Drew high interest from multiple teams in this cycle. This is also another really, really good hire. What is something we've talked about a lot here on the Bills Breakdown over the last couple of weeks? They got to improve their front four. Their defensive line has to be better, whether that's through player acquisition, better coaching, or both. Well, Ryan Nielsen is an excellent defensive line coach. You look at his NFL experience, he basically did that for the majority of his Saints tenure until he made his way all the way up to co-defensive coordinator, parlayed that into becoming the Falcons defensive coordinator, was also working specifically with the defensive line there in 2023, and then this past season was the Jaguars defensive coordinator as well. Obviously, things didn't work out there as the Jags have a new coaching staff, but at his core, Ryan Nielsen is a defensive line coach, and he has worked with some really good players and helped develop some really good players in his time. I mean, you think about the Cam Jordans of the world and some of those other guys who came through New Orleans. Marcus Davenport's best season was under Ryan Nielsen. Like, he's been a really, really good coach for a really, really long time, worked under Dennis Allen for a while, who's considered one of the better defensive coordinators in the NFL. I really, really like this addition. I would imagine he's mostly going to have influence on the Bills' defensive line. And you look at this group, and, like, there's some interesting name here, but Doesn't they always feel like there's something lacking? Like, you should get more out of Ed Oliver. You should get more out of Greg Rousseau. And maybe a guy like Ryan Nielsen can help some of these guys play to their full potential. And who knows, maybe he'll have some influence on the Bills if they consider trying to make a big swing like a Myles Garrett, which we talked about on yesterday's show, or maybe they go after a Micah Parsons. And I promise you this, those guys are going to play at a high level regardless, but if they're under Ryan Nielsen's tutelage, they will play really, really well. I think they'll get more out of this front four, and that's what they need to get, because I think that's been the difference in some of these losses in the playoffs is, Buffalo's been a good defense under Sean McDermott, but they play these the Chiefs or the Bengals when they lost to them, and the defense doesn't hold up, and a big part of that is the defensive line is just not getting enough pressure. You are not impacting the opposing team's quarterbacks nearly often enough, and that's going to have to change. Otherwise, they're going to continue to be a little brother in these playoff games because Josh Allen's doing his part. The offense is doing his part. 29 points should win you a AFC championship game. But it didn't because the defense has not been good enough. The secondary is mid. The defensive line has names on paper, but it hasn't been good enough. One of those units has to vastly improve. I vote for the front four because getting after the quarterback, even if you have an average secondary, it makes an average secondary look a lot better. What is the Bills' biggest need this offseason? I think they need a difference maker on that front four. That's why we've talked about Myles Garrett. That's why we'll probably do a video on Micah Parsons, who could be made available, because I think they have to find a game wrecker, because right now they have some good players, but they don't have that dominant force. All right, that's going to do it for today's edition of the Bills Breakdown. We have a lot of content to come. We got a post-Super Bowl mock draft. Be on the lookout for that. Deebo Samuel trade buzz. We mentioned Micah Parsons. All these topics going to be discussed here on the Bills Breakdown, so we appreciate you guys tuning in. Lighten up the comment section as well. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's take down the Jets report, and we'll see you next time.